So WrestleMania 41, Night 1, took place the other day, and would you believe me? Would you believe me if I told you that everybody was correct about this show and it sucked? This has to be one of the worst nights of WrestleMania we've gone in a really long time. So let's talk about what the problems were with this show, and then we're gonna get into each match, and then I'm gonna give you a ranking list of which match was the best and which match was the worst. So let's first get into the opening of WrestleMania Night 1. WrestleMania Night 1 opens up with, of course, Triple H, because of course he has to be Triple H. Not only did he open up the show and waste time because he didn't say anything of note, the promo that they play in the beginning of each show to hype the crowd up, Triple H was the one that was voicing it too. And it's kind of annoying because this guy is supposed to be the head of creative, and creative right now is at a terrible place. We're getting shit matches with no stories, but Triple H somehow finds time to put himself in the camera and make sure that all eyes on him are on him while creative suffers. So let's talk about the productions issues that this show had, because during the beginning of the parts of the show, there were a lot of production issues. One big thing, and I don't know how they didn't catch this, but during the beginning, they always had a drone shot show the crowd and everything in the stadium. And bro, you could see how empty that stadium was, especially in the sitting area behind the hard cam. Those seats were empty. Nobody was at ringside to watch WrestleMania Night 1. You could also hear it too. The crowd the whole night was dead. And I can't even blame them because every match we got was pretty ass. There was like one or two that were okay, but everything else was bad at this show. Another big production issue they had was during the match. So the show opens up with Jay and Gunther. And of course, Jay has to open the show because it's Jay. He's not going to main event WrestleMania. We knew that already, but they just had to point it out to us that he opened the show. How much has the title have fallen? This is the World Championship, and it's opening up the show. So Jay comes out in the crowd. The crowd is half behind him, half dead. They're not going as crazy as they go other times, the yeeting. There are still people yeeting, but you can just tell that this crowd is just not into it. This whole show, this crowd was cold. They could never warm up the crowd. When Jay makes his way into the ring, Gunther comes out. No reaction for Gunther. No surprise there because Gunther doesn't do anything. The match itself was very start and stop. Like they would do one or two moves and then you were thinking, okay, the match is now picking up. They're getting into that dance, that flow to make the match flow well, but they never got into it. Every time they did a move or like two moves, they would always stop. Somebody would walk around the ring or somebody would go outside the ring and walk around. So this was a very start and stop match. It never got into second gear, so it was very boring that way. And I don't know why they did that. They both looked tired to me, which I don't understand because the match had just started and they were somehow both gassed. And I don't know if they planned it to do it like that or if they both just realized they couldn't do it. That's why there was so much stopping and walking around, but that was the big problem with this show, with this match, might I say. It never got into second gear. Jay wins after he did like 3 splashes to Gunther, then he puts him in the sleeping hold that Gunther does, and Gunther taps out immediately. Now, a lot of people are saying that this made Gunther look like a bitch, but we already knew that Gunther was a bitch, so no surprise there. Jay wins the title. This was a very bad match, especially because it was a world title match, so it failed miserably. Also, as this match was ending, you know how when they do the replays, this is another production issue they had in the beginning of the show. You know how they do the replays, and every time they go to a replay, they show a slide of like the logo of the pay-per-view? Well, when they did the replays for this show, they showed Survivor Series, not WrestleMania, and they did that twice. I didn't get a video of it, but I saw it when it happened live, and I'm not sure if you can catch it now or if they edited that out now that it already happened, but that was one big production issue that I noticed. I don't know how they did that. I don't know how they messed that up, but I don't know whose fault it is, but I'm going to blame it on Triple H because he's the head. After Jay and Gunther, we had the next match, which was the New Day versus the War Raiders. Unfortunately, this match was very boring too. Nothing to note, nothing to say about this match, except that the New Day wins, which is a good thing, because the New Day is like the only good tag team that they have right now. The New Day did have some really cool gear on, especially their jackets. On the back, it had a 3-headed unicorn, and one of the heads were dead. So that's a little bit of nice storytelling with Big E, but it had nothing to do with this match, because this match had nothing to do with that breakup they had with Big E. They're just fighting the War Raiders for no reason. Also, the War Raiders have to be like the worst tag team in the company right now. When they came out, you could hear crickets, bro. Nobody reacted to the War Raiders. Nobody cares about them. Thank God they lost the match and they lost the titles, so we don't have to keep watching them. But nah, the War Raiders really failed. Next match, and this is actually the second best match in the card, was Jade and Naomi. This match was short and sweet, which was perfect. You could still tell that Jade is still kind of new in this. She did look a little confused in some areas of the match, but they didn't fuck it up too badly. Naomi was carrying, but she is the veteran, so I expected that from her. Jade does pick up the win, so I am excited to see what they're going to do with Jade in this story now, but there was one really cool move. In the middle of the ring, Jade had Naomi on her shoulders, and she somehow, like, while she was on her shoulders, pushed her up, turned around, grabbed her midair, and then did an awesome powerbomb on Naomi. I don't know, that move was magnificent. Very, very good move, very good move set from Jade. She just needs a little bit more work in the ring, and I think she'll be great, but this match was the best match so far in the night. Next, we go to LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. LA Knight comes out in a great entrance with a great Maserati. He had the next best entrance in this show. He had the best entrance in this show, honestly, because now that I'm thinking about it, everybody else's entrance kind of looked cheap, especially Jade's entrance. It really looked really poor and cheap when Jade came out, because they had like those cannons that are supposed to be shooting snow or like fake snow, but for some reason the cannons weren't going that heavy, so you could barely see it. So it was kind of very sad in the corner. There were just two cannons that were basically throwing nothing. So Jade's entrance did not work out. LA Knight's entrance worked because he had a Maserati, and that's always cool. Jacob Fatu, for some reason, though, came out wearing one of the dumbest masks you would ever see. It looked so cheap and bush league. I don't know who told him to put on that mask. But Jacob wins. I don't know what they're going to do with LA Knight now that he lost the title again, but I do believe that he needs to be in the main event. Now that Cena won... Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, Cena won the title, but we'll talk about that in the video for night 2. So now that LA Knight lost the US title, he needs to be moved up to the main event. Cody's out, so now we got to get some real good superstars in the main event, and LA Knight should be like the next person that John Cena goes against, or one of the next people like that Cena fights. This match, I wouldn't say it was bad or good. It was somewhere in the middle. We'll see what they're going to do with Jacob and LA Knight following it. After that, we had one of the most boring matches in the show was El Grande Americano versus Phoenix. Rey Mysterio, unfortunately, got injured at SmackDown the other night, so he couldn't wrestle today. That didn't affect this match at all because Rey and Elgade, which was Chad, I'm just going to call him Chad. So the Chad and Rey Mysterio match had no heat, no build to it, so this didn't change anything that Phoenix stepped in because there was still no heat or build to this match no matter what. This was an alright, decent match, nothing too crazy. I wish they got a little bit more crazier with the flips and the top rope moves. It was kind of subdued. Chad did do a really cool top rope move where he just did like a 360 in the air and then just fell back first on Phoenix. That was a very cool move I haven't seen. So good job on that, Chad. And then, yeah, Chad Gable wins this match. This match was solid. It was not WrestleMania levels good, which is bad because this is WrestleMania, so we need to be getting great matches, not just solid matches. But what you gonna do? And now we go to the second to last match of the night. Tiffany versus Charlotte. This match was the worst match of the night. Honestly, this is the worst match of this WrestleMania at all. Night 1 and Night 2. This is the worst match we got. It was slow. It was clunky, and they could not work together. You can tell that Charlotte was frustrated with Tiffany, and Tiffany just looked like she did not want to be there. They kept fucking up every move, bro. It was insane. Tiffany won, which is good. I don't know if that is good or not, because what are they going to do with Tiffany? But at least Charlotte didn't win. I don't think anybody was looking to Charlotte winning, because we're sick and tired of Charlotte always winning. But this match was slow and clunky and the worst of the night. And now we go to our main event, the biggest match of this night, Roman, Seth, and Punk. This match was alright. Punk comes out in the during his entrance, and the band that sings his song is there doing it live. It is cool, but I do wish they stopped doing it because the song never sounds as good when it's done live, when it's just playing through the stereo or the speakers. It just sounds off. But it was good that the band got some work and some exposure. Can't complain there. The match was split in two parts. So as every triple threat in WWE right now, there was the part that was outside the ring. Seth and Punk were fighting in the crowd. They were walking all over, beating each other up with trash cans. And then Roman came out of nowhere, did an awesome dive into the crowd on both of them and took it out. And then he took over. After that, they moved into the ring. Roman set up the tables for a later spot in this match. But the problem was when they got into the ring, then the match just became a spot fest. They just did their finishers for 20 minutes and nothing else. It was just finisher, 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 lay down, kick out, which is what you expect from these matches, but I want more. I'm kind of sick and tired of always having a finisher kick out match. It ruins the show. It ruins the move, and it ruins like the vibe of the move. Like the move is supposed to be the finisher, but you can't put anybody down. So it just takes away from these wrestlers and their finishers. One great spot is there in this match was Seth and Roman were teaming up to powerbomb Punk through the table. But last minute, Roman attacked Seth and did it himself. So he powerbombed Punk through the table, and then he took Seth and powerbombed him through the other table. Then the match moved back into the ring, and that's when Paul Heyman came into play. Paul picks up a chair from across the ring. He looks at both of them, Punk and Roman. He gives the chair to Punk. He gets in the ring. He tells Punk, hit Roman, hit him. And as Punk was about to hit Roman with the chair, Paul does a nut shot, takes Punk to Nut Kick City, and then Punk is out. Then he plays that he teamed up with Roman again. So he gives Roman the belt, the chair now, and he tells Roman, attack Seth, attack the guy who betrayed you. Roman goes to attack Seth with the chair. Paul falls to his knees, attacks Roman in the nuts too. So it's now Seth and Paul that have teamed up. Paul moves over to Seth, gives him the chair. Seth attacks Roman. And then he pins him, and Seth wins the match with the help of Paul. So we'll see what they're gonna do with Seth and Paul. I think they did that because Roman now is taking another 2-month or like 20-month break, so it's gonna be a really long time, I believe, since we see Roman again. Punk and Seth are probably gonna continue their feud. Now they're gonna fight over Paul, and Paul is gonna be involved in that. So I don't know. We'll see about that. But yeah, it was a decent match for a main event, but it wasn't like Wrestlemania level. It got into that second gear, but it was a little too late. I was expecting a little bit more, especially with these three guys being who they are, some of the best wrestlers there are. But this match was good. The show overall was bad. It sucked. There were 2 matches that were good, and everything else sucked. So let me give you my ranking. The best match of the night was Roman, Seth, and Punk. Next, it was Jade and Naomi. The third was LA Knight and Jacob. The fourth was Chad and Phoenix. The fifth one was the New Day and the War Raiders. The sixth one was Jay and Gunther. And the worst match of the night, which has to be also the worst match for both nights, was Tiffany and Charlotte Flair. And yeah, that was my review for WrestleMania Night 1. I'll drop the other one for Night 2, which was a lot better than Night 1, but we'll talk about that during that video.